No, it's a serious topic. I'm just worried at how much conversation we're having about it. That's my only. So it's a bit controversial what I'm saying, but
no, it's good. I was going to say, I was like, are you going to talk about what you think? But I don't know. Like we could split this into two podcasts.
Look, what I think doesn't matter because it's only my opinion and only my thought. Like,
but I think it's
like,
good.
And I don't think I'm right completely either, but I don't think I'm wrong either. Like I'm just trying to work out this process. Hello and welcome back to another episode of The Great Unloading. My name is Dennis and I am your host. Don't forget to subscribe. For any of you guys listening, we do a video podcast as well. So you guys can go onto YouTube, The Great Unloading. We also make little clips. So if you just can't be screwed watching the entire podcast, we do little clips as well about certain topics and stuff like that. So that's just at The Great Unloading clips that you can find on YouTube. Other than that, make sure you subscribe to the podcast, whether you're watching it on YouTube, you're listening on Spotify, iTunes, and so let's get into it.
Okay, where do I start? So I was born in Brazil. I don't think a lot of people know that. Like I'm fluent in Portuguese, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But
you're not full Brazilian, right?
I was born there.
Yeah.
And then my mom's Brazilian and then my dad's English. So I'm like half English, half Brazilian. Grew up in Australia.
Right. Yeah. There you go.
And grew up in Sydney and studied PT, nutrition. Loved that. And then just wanted a career change and got into nursing. And I did that. I wanted to move and just get out my comfort zone and move up to the Gold Coast. So I did nursing, and then I moved down to Sydney for Cosmos for that job opportunity. That's where we met.
Yep.
But I just missed the Gold Coast too much. So I wanted to come back.
So now you're back on the Gold Coast for good. Do you reckon you're going to stay? Is this like the go-to place for
the
you?
Foreseeable future. Like I thought like forever, but I just don't know. Like because obviously if a good opportunity comes up somewhere else, I might move. But I don't know if I'd move back to Sydney.
Really? Why?
I just, I don't know, like the lifestyle for me is just a bit chaotic. Like I feel like how I feel about the Gold Coast, it's similar to at least Northern Beaches where I grew up in Sydney, but it's just a little bit more relaxed, which I personally enjoy. Like I feel like it's not too relaxed where there's nothing on, like there's still things to do, but it's just more chilled and has that beach lifestyle and it's just nice.
Yeah. Well, we sort of had this conversation, which was like about, our environment sort of shape, our energy kind of thing. And like, for me, I grew up in the Gold Coast, but, when I went to Sydney, I thrived. Like I also lived in Melbourne and I didn't thrive there. That was horrible. But when I came to Sydney, I just loved it so much. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I felt like I was being my best self and I was surrounding myself with really good people. And now I'm back on the Gold Coast. It's so different. And I just don't have that same sort of feeling.
But do you think it's because when people move, like they're getting out their comfort zone, so they have to grow and they have to change, and that's why maybe they feel like they love that place so much because they learned so much about themselves. Like I moved up to the Gold Coast knowing one person and like just hung out with her for a little bit initially, but didn't know anyone else. So for me, the way that I experienced the Gold Coast as well was like me learning so much about myself and like growing, getting out of my comfort zone. So now when I go back to Sydney, it's also just really familiar, but I just go back and it's like too familiar. Like, no, I feel like everyone's doing the same thing and,
I think we're on the same level. It's just the difference is you grew up in Sydney, I grew up in the Gold Coast. So whenever we go back to our own hometown kind of thing, it just feels like nothing has changed and we want change.
Yeah.
Like that's a big part of why we both moved.
Yeah, definitely.
I wanted to get out of the Gold Coast initially. You wanted to get out of Sydney and you just wanted a different environment, different friendship circles. And you're right, you're forced to make friends because otherwise you're alone.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're back home, you already know people that you've known for a while. Yeah, you don't really make as much of an effort with new people and you have your family around as well. So you don't feel completely lonely and you don't get into this situation where you feel like I have to make friends because otherwise I'm going to be alone. You know what I mean? So you been seeing anyone? No? He's single.
Yes.
Oh.
Newly single, which is good. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you had a lot of boyfriends in the past?
Yup. I have.
Giuliana. Spicy.
I have. I just like, I don't know. I've always gone from boyfriend to boyfriend, and it's like crazy because every time I'm like newly single, I always say like I want to be single, and I don't like. It's not that I look for it, which I'm really grateful for because I feel like I've had girlfriends in the past that crave a relationship and they're looking for it, where it's kind of happened organically for me. But with that said, because I haven't been in the mindset of like knowing exactly what I want from a partner and being ready for a partner, I haven't made a more conscious decision with like the person that I want and what like I need to have in common with them, because it's just happened organically through friendships or friendship circles or it's just kind of evolved.
You just connected with someone rather than really taking the time to really think about what do you want, what type of person are you looking for. It's just like you're drawn to someone and you're like, you know what, this is awesome. Let's just see where this goes.
Definitely. I think that's so important. And I'm really grateful for every experience. Like I've had girlfriends that, you know, talk to me and ask me about, you know, what it's been like because they've only had one relationship or they've been single for a while, or what they think my perspective is from changing boyfriends to boyfriends. But for me, it's been good because I've just learnt through every relationship the things that I want in a person, the things that are important to me and who I need to be to attract that person, because I think that's so critical. If you want this ideal person for your future, you have to be that person also. And like we've spoken about that, which is, I think there's so much truth in being the person that you also want to be with.
Yeah. Yeah. So then what would you say your top 3 things that you've learnt throughout the time that you've had relationships? What are the 3 majors?
Okay, that's a really good question. I think the biggest thing is listening to your intuition. Like we all, you know, there's so many memes out there about like red flags and people are talking about, you know, looking out for the signs that you're not compatible with someone. But that's such a big problem. Like people are so blinded by love initially, and then when they have those issues, they just kind of just goes over their head. So like listening to your intuition, and like I think hand in hand with that is getting your opinions from your friends and people that you really value that are close to you. So like that 3-date rule, I listened to this TED talk and it made so much sense to me. And it was within the 3 dates of meeting someone, you should ideally introduce that person to a family member that you would value their opinion on or a really close friend that you'd value their opinion on. That'll give you the honest truth, because obviously you don't want to introduce them to that friend that's not had good, we don't want to take advice from people that don't have good relationships or haven't had good relationships, or you don't want to take financial advice from that person that's broke, you know?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So you want to ask the opinion of someone that you are inspired by, or is the opinion matters to you, and just say, hey, like introduce this person and see what they think and listen to that advice, because they can see more clearly than you, because they're not, you know,
it's
involved.
Also the whole thing of blinded by love, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's so funny because blinded by love is something that I used to hear like growing up and stuff, and I just never understood it. I was like, what do they mean by blinded by love? Like, how is anyone blinded by love? I can see exactly what's going on, kind of thing. And then I went through my own relationship breakup and everything like that, and then that was just, you know, horrendous. And because of that, I understood at the end. I was like, I understand what blinded by love is. It's like, it's that feeling where you look at someone and there's just so many issues that are not right for you both.
Yeah.
But you just look past it.
Yeah.
Because you love that person so much.
And sometimes you don't even look past it. Like you can have that awareness to go, okay, this doesn't sit right with me, but for different reasons, like maybe that whether it's a toxic relationship, which I have been in, it could be manipulated and say, I will change. And then, you know, there's that aspect of hope.
Yeah.
Or it's the fact of just the fantasy idea. Like this podcast I listened to, Love Is Not Enough, talks about fantasy and how in relationships, you know, we fantasize about it being different instead of looking at exactly what is in front of us. And change is hard. And if someone wants to change, I believe we can change and grow, but it takes a lot of work. And if, you know, you have to have these non-negotiables, and I think you have to know what they are and just try, because there's so many people out there. So you don't want to try get someone that doesn't have a certain need that's coincides with yours and then change that. Just
Yeah,
and you shouldn't, and you should never want to change anyone anyways, because who's to say that my opinion is right and my way of living is right?
And I feel like you just shouldn't be trying to change someone.
No.
Because otherwise they're doing it for the wrong reasons. If they're changing, they're changing for you. Like, that's just not always the best thing. They should be changing for themselves. Like, there's different things. Like, I mean, if it's little things, like changing little habits, like, you know what, they don't normally put the dishes away, but because the other partner gets a little bit bugged off that they just don't put it in the dishwasher after they finish. Well, that's a little change that they can alter and make a change on. But like lifestyle things such as, you know, maybe naturally they're just not, I don't know, like a real gym junkie. They're not really into going to the gym. Maybe they like to go for a run, but they just don't like to gym often or eat right or all these things. And you just can't change that unless they want that to happen.
Yeah, and we all need, and our primary need in relationship is to feel like unconditional love and acceptance. So even if the way that you word things, and I've learnt this as well, like I'm always been this way with my friends and my partners. I want to influence them to be better because I want that in return with my partner. I want, you know, to grow and help each other to be better, but not like force change. But the thing is, even you have to realize that even the language that we choose, as kind as it may be, you can't, if you're trying to change someone, you're going to make someone feel like they're not enough. And that's not okay. Like, and it's, you need to just, if anything, you just be your best self, and that might influence your partner to make better habits.
Yeah.
But at the core, you have to have more similarities than dissimilarities.
Yeah. I 100% agree. I just think it's like, and we're not perfect. Like, we haven't figured this whole game out either yet. You know, like, we're both single, so we're still trying to work it out. But yeah, well, I don't know. I feel like everybody goes through different experiences, and you just got to learn, you know, what best works for yourself, because you got to really know yourself before you really get into relationships. I just feel like otherwise you're just wasting their time and you're wasting your time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've been different because you've been like intentionally single for a while to work on you.
Yeah.
And like, I think that's amazing. And that's my idea to do now. Like, but I also wouldn't take away the fact that I've had those different experiences with people, because I felt like I've learnt so much. Like, this is what's important to me. This isn't. Yeah. I know that this can like, I had core beliefs in the past through issues that I hadn't healed with my dad. Hashtag daddy issues. But, you know, thinking I had the core belief that men cheat, and I had been cheated on in the past. So I held that core belief, and then, you know, I've had, you know, partners since that completely broke that belief for me. Like, I was like, I trust you entirely, which I wouldn't take that away for the world. So obviously if I was single trying to work through this core belief, it might have taken longer than if I like being with this person that I was like, oh my gosh, I just trust you. So there is someone out there that I can, you know, I can't just generalize and just say everyone's this way when that's not the case. Yeah.
Well, this was my whole attitude. Like, when I was, you know, deliberately staying single and just enjoying myself and getting to know myself, my mentality of it all was, you know, instead of looking for the one, I want to be the one. So I worked throughout for years of just focusing on being the one, like little things like being a gentleman, like what guys would do. Like, for example, such a little thing, and it could be insignificant, but it does make the little difference, which is like, you know, we go from the beach and we go to wash off our feet, whatever, you know, I'll hold the button. Yeah. I'll press the button for her.
Yeah.
Like those little things just make a difference.
Yeah,
and it creates this type of person that, you know, I want to be. And
you will attract.
And I want to be that for somebody else. And, you know, I hope that those little things matter to her as well. You know, those little things that just make a tiny difference or just make you feel a little bit more special.
But they do matter. Like, and it doesn't go unnoticed. Like, I've never met someone that's, I think girls as well, it's the little things. Like, all my friends, it's like when they come and talk to me, it's like the little things just make us happy. Like the thought behind it, you know? So it's like the gifts anyone can get like you could have 5 girlfriends, get them all the same gift. There's not really like the thought too much behind it in like a monetary gift, do you know what I mean? But if you're thinking she needs this, or I want to do this to be a gentleman, it makes such a difference.
Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah.
So I think I'll just change this a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
What is your purpose?
Right now, my purpose is just to focus on like being my best self, 100%. It's just like I'm really motivated by that, and I want to be able to be in a place where I can just keep giving in the ways that I know how. So like being a supportive friend and close to my family and being able to help others. But to do so, I have to also work on myself. So my purpose is just to keep learning and growing now.
What do you like? Just to expand on the subject of purpose, because we spoke about it, I think yesterday or whatever. So just a little caveat for everyone listening. Me and Julia have been hanging out a lot this week. So we've had a lot of deep conversations. So sometimes we're going to repeat a lot of the conversations we've probably already had just so you guys can hear them. But one of the conversations was about purpose, and we were talking about like, do you just find one purpose and that's your purpose for life? Or, you know, do you change? Does your purpose change throughout your life?
Yeah.
And like my perspective of it all was your purpose does change. Like as you grow older and you reach different chapters in your life, your purpose changes.
Yeah.
So it can start off as a young guy or a young female, and it could be career, and you feel like my purpose is, you know, to help animals, or my purpose is to help a business out and make them money, or I don't know, it could be anything that you can find purpose in. But you could then one day get married and have kids, and then your purpose becomes raising children and starting, you know, a legacy for your next generation kind of thing. Like, so your purpose always changes. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think for some it might not. Like I have a friend that's so certain she was so young that her purpose has just stayed the same. And for me, it's ever changing.
Yeah.
But I think it's so important for us to be clear on our purpose, because it gives us like direction, and it gives us something greater that we're working towards, other than something, you know, physically tangible. Like it gives us a way to be as a person. Like, and so that's why I think it's important to like be clear on, you know, what you're doing with your life. So yeah, but I agree that it's ever changing, because I think things are going to happen in your life, and it's just going to. Your order of priorities are going to change.
Yeah.
So that your purpose will be different.
Do you think your life is sort of planned out? Do you think you have control over your life?
I think we have control of our lives. I don't think we don't have control of things that happen, but life is happening like for us, not to us. So like we just, you know, our suffering, if we feel that, it's not in the fact, it's in our perception of the fact. So I mean, you could go for the same experience and it could hit you hard or hit me hard, and I see the good or you see the good in it. So I think like life is just, we could get control of ourselves and our mind and our experience. Like we have control because of our perception of it. So there's definitely things like COVID, like we can't control what's happened, that there's no control. And there's going to be things that happen that are out of control, like loss and death and like, But, you know, we can control our lives and our experience throughout it, which I think is the best way to think about things.
Yeah. Well, like
your state.
You already know this, but like the way I look at it is like, you know, you can make your own decisions. So you can control your life in that aspect, so you can go right or left, but what happens throughout that journey you may not have control over. So you could go right and you could get hit by a bus and you'll never know, you know, and that's out of your control, but you had the decision to make whether you go right or left. So you still have an element of control, and that's where I believe like wisdom is such a big part. Shout out to my tattoo. Wisdom is a really important part of like all of that. And I think you just got to be wise with your decisions, and sometimes you're going to make mistakes and you're going to go the wrong way, but you
never know. That's the thing. Like one of my weaknesses was being an overthinker. So trying to overanalyze, kind of like I used to do like pros and cons lists and like kind of just go assess the situation, because I'm trying to go, what can I do for my future, and which decision is going to help me for my future best right now. But like the only thing that is guaranteed is this moment. Like tomorrow's not guaranteed. Like if you're a millionaire or you're poor, whatever status you're in, the thing that we have in common is that none of us know if tomorrow is guaranteed. Like we only have this present moment. So just make a decision based off like the feeling, I think. Like yes and no, like obviously you have to think about it a bit better than that, but you're never going to be able to make a decision and it's not going to be like 100% certain on what's right or wrong. So yeah, I think just being in the present moment and is really important, like coming back to the present and understanding that you could make a decision and it not go to plan. And you have to be okay with that, because I think a lot of people as well, they'll like have a certain goal and path, and when it doesn't go to plan, that's when they lose it, because they've tried to plan it out so much, and anything that's like any adversity that comes their way, they like don't know.
Yeah. So in like just quickly in the next podcast that you know everybody's going to listen to and stuff, I talk a little bit about meditation and these motivational speakers, life coaches kind of people, right? You're pretty into all of that, and like you'll see that in the next podcast, guys, in my opinion of it, and also how I changed from that. But you will see that. But tell me something, because you've been doing the Tony Robinson course, right?
I love it so much. Yeah.
Yeah. How is that? What do you get out of it? Like,
just so much. I just love it. Like I can't even remember the first time I got into personal growth is like when, and like I was like my mum and my dad always encouraged us to read as kids. So like, you know, coming home from school, it's like you have to read for half an hour, and like try to get us to read a lot. And then when I was 16, I watched like The Secret, The Law of Attraction. My mum showed me the documentary, and for me it just resonated with me, but I wanted to learn more. So
what's The Secret about? Sorry.
Like the law of attraction, and I've looked into it more, but it kind of talks about, you know, your thoughts become things and you manifest. And so it was interesting, and it really resonated with me. And I had like a crazy experience where I manifested something. I don't even know if you know this, but
God. Here we go.
Yeah. But I know you're going to be like, what the heck? Like you always laugh, and I'm like, I manifested a car spot. Like when we went to Burley, and I was like, I manifested this table and that car spot. Remember for Ace's birthday?
Yeah.
Literally that car spot on a Sunday at Burley Hill. Like,
can I just say manifestation, like just a caveat, like I fully believe in manifestation, but I think people, I don't know, like I'm just saying this because this is what I think, but people look at manifestation and they go, well, if I manifest it, I'll have it. It's bullshit.
No, kind of. No, but no, kind of. So this is where, like, listen. So this is where, like, I like listening to Tony Robbins and things like that. So he talks more about, like, the neuroscience. So does Dr. Joe Dispenza, about, like, just neuroscience and how your brain is wired. So it takes away from, like, just talking about broadly the law of attraction and the manifesting to what's happening in your brain. So when you start thinking about something that you want, there's a part of your brain that's like back to primitive time. So if you're looking for food and you're thinking like, I need to find food, your brain's going to spot those berries in the bush. It's going to find it out. So the reticular activating system. So if you're like,
right. So what
manifesting is like trying to.
That's right. So I think manifestation is more just this concept of that if you think about something, all your subconscious decision making is going to draw you closer to that end goal.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean it's going to happen. So for example, your car spot, you can't control that situation. That isn't something that no matter how much you think about it or whatever actions you make, it doesn't mean it's going to happen. That was just luck.
Can I tell you this story? I want to tell you this. Okay, I'll tell you this story, right? And I'll see what you think. So my mum sat me and my sister down and we watched The Secret. And then she's like, what did you take away from it? And I've wanted a pet my whole life. Like I had a pet goldfish, and I was like, I just want a fluffy thing. And and I was like, and I knew I would never get a dog or a cat. Like we just traveled too much. So I was like, I want a bunny. And she was like, no, like that's what you got from The Secret. Like what? And I was like, yep, I'm going to manifest a bunny. And I went upstairs. I was like 15, I think. And I was like, I'm going to get a bunny. And I was like manifesting it, sitting down. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to call it? Like as if, because you act as if it's already yours. That's one of the processes it speaks about in The Secret, right? And then she was like frustrated. She's like, fuck, like idiot, like you go angry and stuff. And then we went to school. Me and my sister lived across the road from school, and I'd talk to her. I was like, I'm going to get a rabbit. Like, you're going to help me choose a name. She's like, yep, what's it going to look like? And I was like, I don't know, just anything. Like, I'm not really fussed, but I know it's coming. Literally, this whole thing happened within 3 days. So the second day, I was just feeling like, I was like, yep, like it talks about feeling, like I'm going to attract this rabbit. And my Uncle Paul, he was moving to Maitland from Sydney to a farm, and he came to my dad's garage to pick up some stuff to take, because my dad said he can have some stuff. And then at the back of his ute, he had a trailer, and I was talking to him, and I was like, oh, what are you doing? He's like, I'm going to take all this stuff to the tip. And then I was like, what's that? And he's like, a rabbit cage. And I was like, why? He never had rabbits. I was like, can I have it? He's like, yeah, it's going to tip. I was like, thank you. Put it inside. And my mum gets home. I was ripping up newspaper, putting a little shred thing, got a little water bowl, and I was like, it's coming. My mum was came home from work, and she was like, stop, how did you get this cage? And I was like, I'm going to get a rabbit. The universe is going to give me a rabbit. Wait, just listen. I was like, no, it's funny, but it's true. And then my mum was flipping it. And then I remember going downstairs, and I was like, I sat near the cage. I was like, I know I'm going to get a rabbit. I just know. And I was like, oh, cool. And then the next day came home from school. We were there for 20 minutes, and I was like, it's coming soon to my sister. She's like, yeah. Knock, knock, knock. Neighbours rock up, the mum and the two daughters going, we're moving to an apartment, holding a rabbit, going, we live down the street. Do you want this rabbit food, water bowl, here? And I was like, yup. And then from that day dot, I was like, yes, manifest.
Look, yeah.
Okay, but tell me what you think about that, because that is legit.
Yeah.
Are you mind blown?
Yeah, look, it's crazy. It's crazy coincidental. But out of all the times you've manifested, how many of them have actually happened?
When I've manifested hard, all of them. All of them.
Yeah.
All of them. Literally every single time. But
look, I believe in manifestation. I manifest myself. And I do it not really knowing that I'm doing it. I don't consciously go activate and go, I'm manifesting right now and this is what I want kind of thing. I've been manifesting things, my whole life, but it just doesn't mean things will happen. It's not a guarantee. Manifestation is not a guarantee.
Yeah.
And this is where I just can't put my faith in that.
But you have your own faith too. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's really hard when you have your own faith, and this is a certain way of being. This is a belief system, right? In its own way. So this is what me and
did we get that, guys? Giuliana has been worried about her top button being popping open because of her very large breasts.
I probably got excited about the bunny. But yeah, so that's what me and Toledo would like to talk about.
Who's Toledo?
My best friend.
Oh, okay.
She's.
I knew that guy. So.
Yeah.
So you guys know.
I've known her since I was 2. So, but I grew up.
Shout out to Toledo.
Yep. I grew up with her. Our parents were best friends growing up, so it was really cool. But I was raised Catholic by my mum, and she was raised Christian.
Right.
So, but we obviously shared the same beliefs. Her dad would come in and pray to us. When I had sleepovers at our night, we'd pray together, and it was fun. So, but when obviously that changed for me and her would talk about that, she's like, what is the universe and what do you mean? It's such, but I felt for me, it just resonated with me. So it's not I don't feel like manifestations and this way of thinking is going to fully click with you because you have your own belief system.
Yeah.
So you have faith in God for helping you attract the things that you believe are you deserve because of, how you are as a person. So you think, we've spoken about the person that you're meant to be with will come because you have faith.
Yeah.
So you're putting this, I just believe, me and you are saying the same thing in a different language.
Yeah.
You believe it will come.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And that's
But I believe if it doesn't come, there's only something better to come. It may not be what I wanted. It may be not what I believed was going to happen.
Yeah.
But it actually might turn out to be better.
Yeah.
And that's what I believe. I believe it always ends up better. Even if it starts to go worse, there's something better around the corner.
Well, that's how
that's why manifestation, it's I can manifest to have a Mercedes AMG, right? I might end up with a Ferrari.
Yeah.
But I manifested a Mercedes.
Yeah, I know. But I think as well, like I'm a big believer, like one of my core beliefs is everything happens for a reason. Like I say that all the time.
100%.
So I don't, if I have like, if I'm trying to manifest something, which I don't do all the time because I don't like take it for granted. Like I try to stay humble, like I try to manifest certain things, but I've like manifested people like 100%, like written a list of like, this is, you know, like a person type, like I want.
But you can attract those people.
Yeah,
like,
you can definitely. Yeah. But like I wasn't like, oh, like you're like this list, like come into my life. I realized later down the track when I found the list, I was like, what the heck? Like, but anyways, I just think as well that everything happens for a reason. So if it's not there, there's a reason for it too.
Fair enough. Anyway, we went off tangent.
Yeah.
So go back to Tony Robinson thing.
Yes. So then I just got into like learning more about self-development and growth, but then like it just took a halt for a while, and I was like, I didn't really party when I was growing up, and then I was 18, 19, started partying a little bit, and I was just not really growing.
Yeah.
And then I just felt this like lack of like this, like I was like, I just want to grow like in all areas, like connect back to spirituality, growth, like grow my knowledge, learn something new every day, because I'm a big believer in like we have so much time, and that's why I go in and off of social media sometimes, because I'm just like, I want to be absorbing good information and like growing and learning.
Actually, that's a really good point, because I actually had a conversation with someone recently, but it was about social media, and like I've never been one of those people that have been affected by social media.
I mean,
like,
you were talking about
it was us?
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, I've never been affected by social media. Like people talk about how they need space and they need time, and they feel, you know, it overwhelms them or controls them, or, you know, makes them feel anxious, or makes them feel like they have to compare, or they scroll through people and they get tired of looking at other people's lives and all these sort of things. I've never felt any of that. And like, I think we discussed this, but I think I think this is the reason why, is because I look at social media for such a like more of a business concept. Like I'm looking to see, okay, what's trending and how can I capitalize and start a business, you know, doing something like this, or you know, why are these people all hanging out? What does that mean? Like, where's the industry going? Where are the eyeballs going? Why are people so focused on these people? Like, what are they doing, or what do they have that is different to what everybody else is doing?
I think that's a rarity though. Like you're rare. Like it's for business perspectives. Like, and you are really good at staying connected to what is happening, and it's really good for your job and your career. For me, I don't know if I get too influenced by, like, I don't feel like anxious, or I don't know. I can't really see myself comparing, at least not in the last 3 years that I've been more conscious of my use. But it's more that I know the feeling I get when I'm like, after I've read a book or listened to something and I'm like, oh, that was so interesting. Like, and if I can tell and share that information with anyone, that's so cool. But okay, like I've read for 30 minutes, or let's say an hour, and I have something that like I've gained from it. Whereas scrolling through social media, what am I, like, I can't even tell you what I've just looked at for the last hour, which makes me feel so empty. I'm like, what? Like time is the most precious thing we have. And I don't want to be scrolling there looking at people that might not know at all, or not really know, and looking at their life and not really like, you know, attaining anything from it. That makes me feel really good. Yeah. It doesn't make me feel bad, but it doesn't make me feel good. Like when I could have spent that hour walking with Charlie or reading a book, and then that makes me feel good. So I have that such a big contrast. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I don't think it's completely healthy, and I think I've only learned that recently, actually, the last couple of months, because I've just started doing surf lifesaving, and so I go on patrol, and during that patrol, I don't touch my phone for about 5 or 6 hours. Literally, it's the longest period of my life. I don't touch my phone for years. Years. I have I don't even check for a notification. I put it in my bag and I don't see it until the end of patrol. Wow, that's right. Good. And do you think in your head, do you think like, do you have like that urge to go check it though? No, not at all. Yeah, it's because I'm busy doing something that I feel good about. Yeah, like I'm not bored, you know, and I feel like, and I'm doing volunteer work, and I feel a sense of responsibility as well, that it's just not on for me to be distracted when my eyes should be on the water, you know. And if something happened, well, that's on me, you know, and that's just not, it wasn't worth it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But like when I've
I've experienced this time away, and like the first time I noticed a little bit, didn't really like focus, and the second time and third time, I was like, wow, this really feels good. Because you know what was killing me, like, and it still sort of does, and I didn't realize because I just sort of got into the normality of it, is notifications.
Yep.
The ping, what pops up in my phone. Like I've had a few buzzes on my phone. It fucking like drives me insane in my mind.
Yeah.
And I'm like also the personality, if I get a message, I have to reply.
Yeah.
I'll be fucking like on the toilet and I'll just be replying, or I'll take it in piss and I'll pull out my phone to start replying because I feel like it's another thing I have to do.
But you know that
and I want to get rid of that task off as soon as possible. So that's why I reply to people instantly. That's why I answer a call instantly. Like I'm always available. And if I am not on my phone, like if I'm not answering a call, if I'm not texting, I'm actually busy. Like I'm doing something where I physically cannot get to my phone.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason why I'm not on my phone.
They've correlated, though, they believe in studies that the rise of anxiety has been caused from notifications because you're constantly on alert and you just can't switch off. And it's also that like reward system because you're just getting notified of potentially like, you know, a connection.
I don't have any anxiety from it, but I feel like what it does is it makes my mind feel like it's not resting.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm also not able.
That's anxiety. That's you have anxiety.
And I'm not like focused.
No,
like I feel like my attention span is actually reducing because of notifications, because I don't have enough time to sit there and really think about a process or think about something. Like I want to sit there for an hour and think about one thing, which I've recently learned, and you'll learn this from the next podcast, that apparently that's part of meditation. But anyway, I want to do that. But then what happens is I get a notification. Someone says, hey, what are you doing tonight? Oh, fuck, I got to reply.
But what if you just put it on airplane or just don't disturb?
Drives me insane.
Why?
I am afraid to miss out on whatever it is. Like I feel like it's something like,
but that's
it
the
could be
addiction
important.
Process, though.
It could be important, and I missed it, and I'm like, I can't miss it. Like, and I just can't miss it. I can't miss it. It's like an addict.
That's what I mean, though. Like, because you'll have that feeling, and even if it's not even if it's not like, what are you doing tonight's plans, even if it's you've already checked it, so then you're going to reply anyways. It might not be what are you doing tonight, it might just be a random notification or a random message, but you're going to take the time to reply still because you're distracted.
And I also feel like when I've seen it, I have to reply. Like I've seen it.
Yeah. I'm like that too. Like, or I'll call. But yeah, I'm like that too. I'm not, because if I don't reply, then I'll forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not only that, I feel like bad, like in myself, because I'm like, I've seen your message. The least I can do is respond to you.
Yeah.
And it won't take me long. It'll only take me a second to respond.
Yeah.
I can respond.
Yeah.
No problem. I'm not busy. And if I was busy, I wouldn't respond. I wouldn't even answer. But I'm not busy. You know, and like I don't do this whole thing like, oh, I just don't feel like it. No, you've taken the time to message me. Like I should respond. No, you know? So I don't know. But
yeah. And back to the Tony Robbins stuff and things like that. Yeah, it just really resonated with me. Like our beliefs, I don't think it's never really going to click for you because you have your own belief system. But for me, it just resonated, and it makes me feel good learning about how to control my state, because I think that's really important. I think a lot of people aren't really conscious and living consciously and making decisions.
I 100% agree. I think people don't think deeper about things, and especially about themselves.
And we should be.
And I feel like a society is afraid to because
taking responsibility.
And social media is part of it because of this comparison. Because if they start thinking about themselves and start thinking about their life, well, then they start to compare as well. And they go, well, they start to realize how there are things in their life that aren't worked out, that they need to work out or fix or whatever. And then they can look at somebody else as they scroll, or a friend of them, and they just see it. It's just, and I understand why that's hard, but I just think it's not wise to not look within yourself and really focus and think about what you want, and not just be like, oh, it's too much. Like I just overwhelm. Look, it's overwhelming for everybody.
It is.
You're not special.
Oh my God. I love
what I mean?
You said that. Because I think people, when they start, like I've had friends and partners go through starting to be more aware, and I've heard like on podcasts, people say that when you start living more consciously, initially it's really hard because you start taking a hard look at yourself and you're like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I'm responsible for stuff too. Like, and that's hard, you know, shifting from like kind of like a victim mentality. But then you just have so much more control. Like when you know that you can make a decision that's going to be best for you and you can control your state.
Yep. And you grow so much as well. And you actually feel good about it. Like going through the process, even though it's difficult, you do get through it, and it doesn't take as long as you think it will.
No,
you think it will take it won't. You think it won't ever change.
Yeah.
That's how you start.
Yeah, you
thinking.
do.
You don't think it can be changed.
Yeah,
but it can. You just need to give yourself some time. You don't have to be hard on yourself.
No,
but you need to spend that time thinking about yourself.
Yeah,
and not selfish. Like I don't care about anybody, and I only care about myself. It's just thinking about what you want.
Yeah,
like. You could go out for drinks with friends and they all really want to drink hard, but you're just not feeling it. Maybe, you'll have one or two, that's all you're keen for, but you don't want to, have lots to drink. It's okay to go, look, man, I'm just not feeling it. I'm just going to have one or two. And yeah, there will peer pressure. That's just normal. Like you always want your friends to have a fun time, but you don't have to. But if you know yourself and you feel comfortable with yourself because you've thought about it, we can go, no, I don't really feel, I want to wake up really well, the next day and I want to go to the gym or I have these plans or whatever. You don't have to just not think about yourself. You can focus on yourself and still get along with everyone else.
Yeah, definitely. I think the selfish side, like that you're talking about, is when people start when people act more for themselves, there's still like the ego, I'm trying to be better, and it's trying to just be the best version of yourself for others too, and living more aware and conscious of like the decisions you're making, how it affects people and yourself, and also realizing that you have so much control over your state.
Yeah.
Like we spoke about yesterday, again, like the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book, which it's like your favorite book.
My favorite book. If anyone has not read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I don't read, by the way, and I read this book. The best book in the world by far. I don't care what other book there is. That is the best book. I'm going to give that book to my 16-year-old kid.
Yep.
Male or female, I don't care, but they need to read that book because that sets you up for this mindset of how to live your life with your career, like what you're going to do with your career.
What did you take away from it, like the biggest point?
The biggest point was, I don't know, there was just so many. Like, honestly, it was the entire book, like every chapter, I got so much out of it. But the real focus for me, what it was this idea that they tell you that working and making like 100,000, see, some people listen to this podcast and like money is not an important thing. Like, I understand, that's fine. But making 100,000, 150, $200,000 you're not rich. You're not making a lot of money. People think, oh yeah, just because you're making 200,000, you're making a lot of money. You're not making a lot of money. Like for a Western society, you're not, because you forget there's tax. Then you buy a nicer car. Like usually when you make more money, you upgrade your life. So you don't actually have financial freedom either. You're still stressed about money because you have a mortgage that's probably up to the amount. And like, so it just, your life at 200,000 or your life at $50,000 a year, there isn't a huge shift in how you feel.
No.
There's definitely a shift in like what you have. Yeah, I have a nicer car, I have a nicer house. I, can go out for more dinners and, all that sort of stuff. But on average, you end up with the same amount of money as someone on 50,000 that lives in a shitty apartment with a shitty car and doesn't eat out much, but cooks. They have the same amount of disposable income.
Yeah, definitely.
In the end. So
it's your state. Like your life is the state that you live in.
So, but the problem is society, in my mind, has really trained us that the way to do life is you graduate from you work your butt off at school. You then graduate from school, go to university, you study hard in university, you then do that job and you work for the next 40, 50 years and you'll one day make $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 and you'll have a mortgage and all these sort of things. And that means you're winning. That's not winning. you're not winning. You're a slave. Like you work for the man.
Yeah.
And
a rat race.
yeah, and there's no problem with working for the man at all. Like if that's the lifestyle, like some people, it's just not important, and some people don't want to do their own thing, but they need to understand all their options.
Yeah.
And that's what this book does. It gives you all your options. So
and all the perspectives.
All the perspectives. It's not like we hear too much of the perspective of the man that works. Let's hear about the man that doesn't work, but, you know, has employees. And that's what that book does. And it also focuses on doing what you want to do, not doing what you're told to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's that book. But your top button's undone again. It's been a while, I won't lie.
Are you manifesting this?
Yeah.
I manifested it, guys. I'll do it again for you.
Oh my gosh. No, but yeah, I definitely feel like I just love that topic personally. And I love learning about Tony Robbins, but also about health.
Yeah.
Like,
well, Tony Robbins for me, like, I think he's fantastic. Like, he really is the best in the game.
Yep.
But he's too emotional, man. Like, I don't want a guy that's going to cry about my situation for me. Like, I understand some people need that. Some people need someone to feel what they feel. You know,
yeah,
and I understand
that's
that.
why you have to find your person. But I think as well, like, he doesn't.
Right.
Yeah,
Everyone's different.
He doesn't like cry. He's an empath, so he has felt what it's felt. Like he's lived a hard life. Like lived in his. I'm telling Tony Robbins' story. But he like lived in his car and like he had an abusive mother and stuff. So he's empathetic because he's like lived the struggle. So he just feels when people feel that. But I do know what you're saying. Like you have to find that person that just the language that they speak just resonates with you. So I've heard another guy that I listen to, Mindset Mentor. He pretty much says the same things as Tony, but just not really emotional. He's like to the point, to the fact, and it's good. I think that people connect more with that too because it's removing the emotional side. But I also think it's good because the people that have the resistance to emotion, sometimes I feel like they need to tune into that a little bit. Like they need to maybe realize maybe that's where like being emotional and being empathetic is like, you know, good thing. But he's also guiding them to make changes and say you can still control your state. Like when he gets emotional, it's usually like, you know, he's really loud and stuff like that. But if he ever cries, it's like a pretty intense stories. Like I cry over them.
Yeah, they're very intense. Yeah.
Yeah. But I love him.
How much do you love him?
So much.
Would you marry him?
No, I see him like I see him as like a dad. Like I have my dad and then like Tony's like my dad.
Is your dad and Tony a lot alike?
No. No, that's why I just have like, two. But you have to find your role models in life and people that I think, we just, talk about that. So you have to find people that you're inspired by.
Oh, 100%.
In all areas, like whether it's relationship, financial, you have to have those people because if you're hanging around with people that it's like, I used the example yesterday, I've had girlfriends that have been in toxic relationships, like incredibly toxic relationships. So then my relationship, I was like, it's amazing, but it wasn't. Yeah. But it was because I was comparing to those immediate around me. And
that's
like,
an interesting one. Yeah.
Yeah, like
I've never looked at it like that.
You are a culmination of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And the people around me had physically abusive like relationships and I wasn't getting physically abused. So my relationship was sweet, but it wasn't like but like what a
terrible attitude to have.
But what was normal for me changed. Like the standard had changed. The standard had lowered. So I think we always have to find people that we're truly inspired by and like hold that to a standard. Like I want that. Like,
so when you talk about, you know, your what is it, the average of the 5 people you hang around
spend
with?
my time with,
What do you do if you have someone really bad, but you love them?
Yeah, well, you have to just limit your time or set boundaries. Like I said, I did with my dad, like love him so much and it helped having that conversation anyways of like what my boundaries were. But sometimes you can't pick your family. Maybe they're one of the worst influences on you too, or like just really negative and come to you all the time with negativity, for example. And you just have to like limit, be like, I can help you if you want a solution, or I can help you, but I need some boundaries, or maybe share what you speak about with others too. But you just have to limit yourself, and it's okay to be like, this is best for me and it's best for you, because if you set those boundaries in place with some people, like they will start reflecting on, you know, oh my God, like they'll realize and have awareness about themselves and what the impact they're having on the people around them, and it will help them as well. So you obviously, family is a big one, but friendships is, you can like limit yourself or back off. And I struggled that so much on all the beaches. Like I loved going, don't regret the friendships I had, because I learnt heaps about it, but I was just stuck in a kind of circle of
I feel like what I've done in the past is like whenever I've had, you know, some people that just maybe weren't like what I wanted to be around or whatever, I never like unfriended them. Like I never,
I wasn't
anything
like
that. I just set a boundary, like you say. Like I just go, I'm just not going to spend as much time. If like, and
time
every
and
now
place.
and then, time and place. Yeah.
So you go, okay, like these people are like that, and there's no judgment. There's this love, but I'm going to go, okay, I am going to spend a little bit of time with them when let's say if they're a group of friends that party. When I want to party here and there, I know I can go to that group, and because the friendship's still there, I'm welcome back, but it's not all the time. But we just want to belong. Like we just want to, it's an innate need of ours to connect and feel like we have a tribe. So, you know, well, you talked about in Sydney, like you had a group of friends of like that you would party with, and you almost don't know till you step away just how influenced you were. But you know, I think it's really important that if you want to be this type of person that's going to attract this type of lifestyle, and you know, to attract this type of partner, you need to surround yourself with people like that. Like you just have to, because you get influenced by the way that people think. Like you're not going to be a millionaire if you're surrounding yourself with people that just work for the man. Yeah. Like you need to be surrounded by people that have done it before and almost get mentored or just have your sources of inspiration.
So like 2020 was a pretty, you know, tough year for a lot of people. What do you think you got out of 2020? Like, was it a good year, bad year for you?
It was a good year for me.
Really?
I think
I fucking hate, by the way, I hate people that fucking say 2020 was a good year for them.
Why?
Because it fucking pissed me off because I had a shit year. No, and I'm like, I'm so happy that you had a great year, but I hated it.
It's not that it, like, obviously I can't, I feel terrible for the people, like a lot of people weren't as fortunate, and I understand that. I don't know.
No, I'm happy that you had a great year. Like I really am.
I think it's circumstantial too.
I only joke, but it's just like a little bit of me goes, fuck you, man.
I get that though, because I feel like I was fortunate. So obviously being a nurse, I'm an essential worker. And then, but being in a cosmetic industry, like that's elective, so that is not needed. So we had some time off. But being in a privileged, like I couldn't help but just feel so grateful last year for everything. Like having the Brazilian background, oh my gosh, like millions of people died in Brazil. So many people were unemployed in America, and just having that comparison, like we have it so good here that I couldn't be upset because, oh my gosh, like the government helps us. They're paying us so much JobKeeper and JobSeeker. Are you kidding? Like other
now
places
you make me feel bad.
No, but it's about like we talk about perspective, and it's not too late to like shift your perspective on like you can, even though you experienced 2020 as bad, you can still look back now and reflect and be like, oh, it's good.
I think I'm just a very goal orientated type of person.
Yeah.
And COVID really screwed a lot of my goals.
Yeah.
And so it felt like a failure of a year.
Yeah.
And my life changed so much because I was living in Sydney, you know, cashed up like crazy. And then I had to leave all that, come back to the Gold Coast and restart.
I know, but I think like you said, like you can make a decision, go left and right, and then you make a decision and it goes to shit.
Yeah.
And then you've had to come back circumstantially. But
I definitely look at it. Yeah, I look at it as like a blessing in disguise now. But yeah, it was definitely
in the moment. But that's why we have to have. I think that's why it's so important for us to have faith, because even though in the moment we might not see how this is going to work out, have faith that it's just meant to be.
Yes. I 100% agree.
So
and that's how you get through it.
Yeah,
like,
that's how
I
get through
I 100% agree. And that's how like everything in my life, any difficult situations or times in my life, I I get through it because I know the best is yet to come. Like it's gonna get better.
And you just got to have that mentality, I think, through life, through any adversity, because
That's right.
something I read recently, which was so true, is like anyone can go disconnect from the world and go meditate in a cave if they want to. But it's not like, that's not challenging you for the experience of when you're going to be thrown some adversity. You come back to real life and someone challenges you and like some unforeseen circumstances happen. How are you going to deal with that level of stress? Like that's what we have to go through, these challenges, to grow and to learn how to manage our state. So maybe the next time something like happens that is so out of your control, you can be like, oh, but I know that it's just meant to be. Like I might not understand it right now, but just have faith that it's all going to work out. Yeah. So it was good for me. Like it's... So
2021, what do you want to achieve? What do you want to get out of 2021? If 2020 was a great year for you, what's 2021 supposed to be for you?
Fucking amazing. I'm excited. Like every year, I'm always excited, like all the time. I'm not huge on like New Year's resolutions. Like I called you and I was like, why New Year's resolutions? But I'm like, I set goals all the time, but I'm just really keen to just focus on me. So I feel like when you're in a relationship, you just obviously going to share that attention, share that energy. And I'm like keen to just put a lot more back into me and my friendships and like my relationships with my family, and just work on me and attaining like the goals that I have in mind. And like I'm just keen to my best friends moving up and like just getting back into fitness. And
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so excited.
Hey, Mitch, how long have we been gone?
That's 1 hour.
Oh.
Like coming up to an hour. Keep going. This is great. Like a stunning conversation.
All right, just so you guys know, Mitch Bayless is my partner of Echo Creative, and I've known him for a long time. He had a great 2020 apparently, but
The best ever.
Oh, cool.
you guys would have heard him on the podcast before this, so.
Oh yeah, putting that one. Oh, but yeah. He's talking about fitness. Dennis needs a fitness inspirator.
How interesting.
Yep.
I think we've had a lot of good conversations.
You have.
But what's your thoughts on meditation?
I love it. I think it's so crucial, and I think that everyone, like one of my goals for my future is to become a meditation facilitator and teach people for free, because I feel like it's a skill. If you're willing to learn, I want to teach you. Like we shouldn't charge to learn this skill. Like I think it's so important, because we're just so caught up in like this high level of stress. And even if you don't think you are, and some people, a little bit of stress is good. Like it can push you towards goals and help you focus. But biochemically in your body too, like having high levels of cortisol all the time is not good for your health. It's not good for your state. So just trying to unwind and settle for like 10 minutes a day. But I want to break the stigma that's attached to meditation, where people think, like you used to be one of those people that you just have to hum and like hum. Yeah, and just do that, which it's not the case at all. Like meditation is just focusing on one thing at a time. The reason why I freaking love the gym, and I knew I didn't play sports growing up. I didn't find anything that fully was for me. But when I joined the gym at 14, I was like, what, this is my thing. But I realized now it's my meditation. Like I would go to school and high school dramas and stress, and I'd go to the gym and I'd unwind. I'd just listen to like Eminem or like listen to music and just train weights. And I was just focused on that. There was nothing else like when I was in the gym, and that was a form of meditation. But like, it doesn't mean I have to sit
So how do you practice now? Because you do a bit of meditation anyway, like almost every day kind of thing. What are you focusing on something, or are you clearing your mind? Because I know like a lot of people do like what I've sort of heard, it's more about clearing your mind and not thinking about anything. Yeah,
there's so many different types of meditation.
Yeah, because I'm like that. Sorry. Good thing she's talking. So.
Yeah. There's so many different forms of meditation, and that's the thing too. It's like you can do like a mantra where you like have a word and that you just focus on that. You can just do breathing. You're just focusing on your breath. You can do like affirmations. So you're trying to like instill new beliefs for yourself. So whatever that may be for you. Or there's just like mindfulness or sending love. Like if you feel like you need to heal some parts of yourself, you can like breathe and send love. Or like just mindfulness. So being so
I guess okay, I was going to make fun of it, but then another part of me goes, your mind's a very powerful tool.
Yes.
So, by very much controlling your mind and putting these types of thoughts and energy into it, it does affect you, like your body, how you feel, your mental capacity and all these things. So yeah, part of me wanted to make a joke about it, but then I just thought about it and I was like, well, I'll sound like an idiot. So
no, it's just good. And it's like there's so many health benefits too. Like when I did study about it in my like my wellness coaching, and they talked about meditation, there's health benefits to doing it too. So just like lowering stress, sleeping better, like having more energy, because you're just getting into a state that a lot of us just don't get into ever.
Yeah.
There's so many people that just never sit in silence and just like close their eyes and breathe or be mindful. Like when I've told some friends that they're like, I want to meditate, but I just struggle with like sitting there. Like I'm an agitated person. I just don't feel like I can do it. And I was like, you don't have to start with that. Like you can do pouring coffee in the morning and making a coffee, being so present in that whole process can be meditation. So you hit the kettle, you listen to the sounds of it boiling, you smell the coffee, you pour it in, like the whole thing. If you're just so present, you're not thinking about anything else, that right there is meditation. Or being mindful, just super mindful in everything that's going on and like nothing else, because we can get so clouded with like a million thoughts. Like like it says like roughly we have like 80,000 thoughts a day, like so much. And we just need like, and a lot of it's like junk. Like we don't need to like think about all that stuff. So by also slowing down your brain, you can stand guard at the door of your mind and like make sure that like you're not letting yourself think silly things,
Yeah, I guess I just like, I don't know. I would really like to get more into meditation, but I'm not really too keen on the sit down and stop and
but remember when we were at Miami Marquetta, me, you and Anthony, and you said that you felt like when you were in the ocean and you went for a dip, that was your meditation.
Yeah, I felt relaxed.
Yeah, that's like, that can be it for you. Like it doesn't have to be something that anyone suggests to you. Like when you're just there and you're in the ocean and present, and a lot of people like surfing, like just being there and focusing on catching a wave, like that practice of just being so present in the moment.
Do you know what I do to refresh my mind to make me feel better? Like if you like wake up one day and you're just feeling like really rough or whatever, I really recommend anyone to do this, but try and go down to the ocean or go down to the beach or even a pool if you don't live near the water or anything like that. Go underwater.
100%. It's so cleansing.
The silence.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And
I agree so much.
And like you almost want to hold your breath and stay down as long as you can. Don't do this in case you drown. But just go underwater and just focus on what you can hear.
Yeah.
And it's silent, but it's this calmness in what's supposed to be chaotic.
Yeah.
Water is like
Ocean,
mother nature, it's crazy. But when you're underneath, and then when you just come up, it's just like I just feel so refreshed. Like I feel like a breath of fresh air, and I feel cleansed. I feel like it's a new breath, and it's just such a good feeling. And I go through like these mental downs, like where I just feel down. And I can't control, like I can't do anything. And I'm not depressed. I don't have depression. I don't have anxiety, but I have days, and everybody does.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty normal. But I really struggle with it because I'm extremely I'm very emotional, and I'm very much a thinker. I'm very in my thoughts. So I really feed into it instead of letting it go. Like and like I'll make it worse for myself, right? But what I've worked out is to get over it is one, accept it, feel it, and know tomorrow is going to be different, and you're not going to feel like this tomorrow, or you're not going to feel like this in a week, but it will change. The other thing is I obviously pray about it because, I believe in God and everything, so I pray. And then the third thing I do is I do something. I'll actively do something. So I'll do something good for myself. Like, for example, I'll go exercise, I'll go for a run, or I'll go for a skate, and meet up with a friend, or go hang out with a friend, and just be around someone that makes you feel good. Or I when I'm on my own, which I've been a lot of the time, is I go to the beach now. So I'll go to the beach, and maybe in the morning when I wake up and I'm feeling shit, I'll sit there and just have a coffee and just chill, like, and just enjoy where I am and enjoy the sun and enjoy the sand. And then I'll go for a swim, and then I'll do that whole, like, I'll go underwater and just like listen to nothing. And it's not like I'm not going to feel any better about my situation, but it helps.
It does, but that's one of the biggest things I've ever taken away from listening to Tony was how he says that we have to try change our state.
Good old Tony.
Yeah, the state that we're in of down, we can change our state by what we do with our body, by getting outside. So, just being in the sun and like going to the ocean and doing that is changing our state. So you're going and exercising, moving your body, like all that, all the things you say in the moment, they give you that relief because you're also releasing endorphins and like you're being outside, you're breathing the fresh air. So, if you think about like if I said to you, what does a depressed person look like? And pretty much ask everyone, it's like you're down and you're slow and you're walking slowly, but if a happy person's like walking around.
But apparently it's the happiest people sometimes can be the most depressed.
Maybe externally looking at it.
Yeah. Some people extreme, like you would never know. That's, the new thing is what people are realizing. You just don't know that some people are really depressed.
That's true.
And we've seen a lot of people die as well, like big actors and stuff that's, drawn the most attention. But, there's been other people, and that's why I think they're pushing this message of, are you okay? Asking someone, are you okay? How's everything going?
Love that.
Yeah, and I think it's all been pushed because I think there's a lot of people that are very silent in how they actually are feeling, even though you see them as the happiest people in the world, and you would never ever imagine. So I find that very interesting. I don't know enough about this subject, like mental health and depression and anxiety and all this sort of stuff to, I don't know, give my opinion on it all. But I think it's, I don't know, it's a serious topic. I'm just worried at how much conversation we're having about it. That's my only. So it's a bit controversial what I'm saying, but
no, it's good. I was going to say, I was like, are you going to talk about what you think? But I don't know. Like we could split this into two podcasts.
Look, what I think doesn't matter because it's only my opinion and only my thought. Like,
but I think it's
like,
good.
And I don't think I'm right completely either, but I don't think I'm wrong either. Like I'm just trying to work out this process. But all I'm saying is I feel like we're talking about it too much. We're talking about depression. We're talking about anxiety too much. We're now making it seem like it's okay. And it's like anybody can feel it and anyone can have it. And I don't think that's true. I don't think anyone can have it. I don't think everybody has it. I feel like you create it as well. So you may not actually have anxiety. You may not actually have depression, but you create it in your own mind, telling yourself you do because everybody says it's okay that you can. And
because you like the notion of like if you had a kid, you'd tell them to toughen up, like you do with your nephew a little bit.
There's times to talk and there's times that you need to actually get on with it. Like, the biggest problem is it's more of a society thing. It's our generation are soft, and the reason we're soft is because we haven't gone through hardship. We think social media is the hardest thing we've ever gone through. We think comparing ourselves to someone else on the internet is the hardest thing as a society we have gone through. The generations before went through war. They were enlisted. They were forced to go to war. They lost families. There was depressions. Like, they had no communication. If their family went over to war in a different country, they couldn't communicate it. They had to write letters. It took them months to find out whether their son, daughter, mother, father had died. Like, they were going through some real shit. Yeah. And our generation, because we compare ourselves to, the fake chick or the fake dude that takes roids or the girl that goes and gets loads of plastic surgery or, edits her photos and stuff, and we compare and we're feeling sad and depressed and down about that and anxiety about that. Like, we're too soft. And I just think that's why this conversation it's good that we're having it. We're growing. We're learning a lot. I like that we're having these conversations about homosexuality and conversations about it's, talk up, speak up if you have depression, and talk up and speak up if you have anxiety. I think I'm all for that. But we just got to be more conscious about whether we really do have it. We can't be throwing these words around. I don't think it's okay. I think it's not okay to be thrown around. I have anxiety. I have depression.
No, I've heard
it's not okay to throw that word. It's a very serious word. We need to treat it like that. But when, as a society, our generation are just not having perspective and realizing, and this is why, like, I think the older generation looks at our generation and goes, "Oh, we're soft, we're weak." They have a right to, in a way, as well. Like, not everything was perfect in their time either. Like, we have to evolve and we have to get better as a society. And I think we have, our generation has made a massive, massive improvement on doing that. We just got to be careful how far we go.
This is, I think, one of the main topics, like, we obviously clash heads with a little bit. But
it's okay. And I know I'm going to clash a lot of people with this conversation, and I don't want to offend anybody out there or listening. Like, it's not like that. I'm just learning through this, but I'm just putting a different perspective out there.
But I vouch for you too, and I think that I've spoken to so many people that also have shares the same opinion as you, but they almost are quiet about it because they don't want to be that person that says that thing.
Yeah, and I don't want that to be the case either.
No, and I can vouch for you saying that you're not saying ever, you never go, this is the way, like this is right or wrong. Like, you're like, this is how I feel. And everyone's entitled to their way of thinking and feeling about certain
And I'm always willing to change. Like, if someone can educate me in a way that makes me understand that I can see what I've been missing, I'll 100%, I'll turn around and put my hand up and go, you know what? I was wrong. 100%. Now I understand. But this is what I know now, and this is how I feel now. And I think it's a valid thought. That's all it is. It's just a thought.
I personally think it's a good notion. Like, I do see where you're coming from, and it helped me. Like, I was like, obviously I am a massive advocate for men's mental health, and like, there's a few of my friends that have done a few like mend movements, which I love. Like, I'm so for. But like, hearing what you're saying has helped me, like, obviously see from a perspective that I hadn't really seen before, which I understand where you're coming from. But yeah, I think there's just so many variables in place. Like, it's not just social media. Like, it's culturally, like, for the Amend movement that they were talking about in New Zealand, they have the highest rates of suicide in men. And because culturally they're told to toughen up so much that they can't feel, even if, like, you got hit, like, same in Brazil, like, and it
all depends obviously on the culture and stuff. Like, that's a bit, like, I'm looking on a very, like, Western society perspective, I think, as well. Coming from Australia, so
I know
it's that this is just.
But I think it's like a global, like, obviously the idea of talking about mental health is global, but so, like, obviously with cultures, and Australia is made up of heaps of different cultures. So, like, people will be from these cultures that struggle with talking about mental health and live in Australia, where they're talking about mental health so much.
I'm going to bring up a subject, and it's very controversial as well. Yeah. And like, I don't mean to offend anyone. We've had this conversation, and this is just to grow and think and learn and all this sort of stuff. So please, if you're listening to this, do not be offended. Just understand it's just a conversation. We're just throwing thoughts out there. So, this whole movement about it's okay for men to cry.
Yes.
What do you think?
I think
I'll start her off to under the fire first.
I think if you need to cry, cry. Like, I think it's a buildup of energy, and it's an emotion that everyone has the right to feel. Men, women, everyone. Like, if you feel like you need to cry, cry. Some people might be more emotional, some people might not be. Obviously, if you're not an emotional person and you don't need to cry, you don't need to be encouraged to cry. Like, men should cry. It's not like about, and I don't think they word it like men should cry, but if you feel like you need to let it go, like, or let it out, you should. Yeah. Like, I think that they just, like, I know that you're going to say some stuff, but the way that you feel is like, I agree with, because obviously you helped me see that they're kind of wording it in a way that's like, men should cry. And it's not about if they should. It's like if they need to, they should. Like
I 100% agree. Like if you need to cry or you feel like you need to cry as a man, go for it.
You're not
like
less.
there's nothing.
But there was a
there's
stigma.
no shame. Yeah, I understand.
There was a stigma, like if you cried,
I understand.
like it was like you're less of a
But now
man.
I feel like the conversation is becoming you should cry.
Yeah.
But I feel and like I hate, you're gonna hate what I'm gonna say, but I feel women are driving this.
No.
They're driving this.
They're not. They're not.
They're driving this. Just cry. Just cry. It's okay. Just cry. Just cry. It's like, no.
Have you been told that?
Yeah, girl. I remember I cut my fucking hand, right? And look, it was a deep cut. I needed stitches and I was young, all right? And this woman comes up to me and she goes, "It's okay to cry. It's okay." And then I didn't need to cry. I didn't want to cry. But then I felt pressured to cry. So it's just like, I didn't know what I'm doing. Like, I didn't need to cry. But she wants me to cry.
It's
Why?
not about if she's
like, and this is at an all-boys school. And I'm just like, I don't want to. I don't need to cry. But you want me to cry.
No, it's the nurturing side of going, like, if you need to, like, cry because it's obviously bad.
I don't believe men naturally need to cry. Like, I understand we're all human beings, but our chemical levels of emotion is completely different. So we, not all, but some men are not as emotional as women.
And same as women. Some women aren't as emotional as other women.
That's right. But it doesn't mean we need to encourage men to cry. We don't need to encourage men to cry. We need to encourage men to speak about their emotions.
But
I'm all for let them talk about how they feel. Tell me how you feel. You don't have to cry.
Okay, but how long?
You don't need to cry. We shouldn't be saying, just cry. It's okay. You'll feel better if you cry. No. Tell me how you're feeling.
But how long do you think that this movement of talking about men opening up, how long do you think that's been around for? Honestly, how long ago did you start hearing about it?
I don't think long.
A year?
Nah. Well, I think longer than a year, but it's a couple of years, like 4 or 5 years maybe.
Oh, I've heard 2 years personally.
Right.
Max.
I know a friend that was doing this. It was like a man getaway thing, and he's been doing it for 5-6 years.
Okay.
Like that, so
for me, it's been relatively new. Some people that I've told about like this amend group, they haven't heard about it before. So it's so new. So obviously they're trying to break a stigma that's been around for so long. And my experience is when I worked at the Currumbin Mental Health Clinic and I heard and I had my preconceived ideas of the people I was going to meet, and they were all like police officers, doctors, like all upper class, had that intelligence, but severe depression. And I'm like, why? Like, why? Because, and they used to say, we weren't allowed to talk about our feelings. So you're obviously, I think you want it to be worded as men should talk about their emotions more if they need it.
Yes.
But it's being worded more so like you should cry. But I don't know if that's true too. Like maybe it's the sources that...
I feel like there needs to be a little toughness. Like I'll give you an example of a situation, right? My little nephew, right? He's 8 years old, and he was in it was his last game of soccer, right? And he's there, and he's one of the best players. He's in the top 3 of the best players, right? And I'm not saying that as a bias thing, but he is. And when it was his last game, and he was feeling very emotional about it, and he wasn't playing his best. He started crying on the field because he just was exhausted, like not only emotionally but physically, just because of that emotion. He felt exhausted. So that he came off the field, they subbed him out, and he was crying, right? And what my sister did, which I'm totally against, she goes to him and my sister is the mum, goes and hugs him and cuddles him and pats him on the head. It's okay. It's okay. No, he doesn't need that. I said to her, I was like, stop. He needs to learn that you got to get through this. You're not here for yourself. You're here for a team.
Yeah.
You got to get out. You're one of the best players. The team needs you. They're relying on you. I know you feel sad. You're emotional. You're having a hard time. Suck it up. And you got to get out there and you got to do the job. And if that means you have to sacrifice yourself for the common good of everybody else, you got to do it, because that's what being part of a team, that's what being a leader is as well.
You got to show up.
And so my brother-in-law, thank God, had the same attitude as me. Like, I didn't like voice like all this, but he had the same attitude. He pulls his kid away from his mum. Thank God. I say this because it's my sister, so I'm a bit harsh.
Yeah.
But pulls him away and goes, go run laps up and back. I want you to run to that post and I want you to run back. He did that. Stops crying. He stopped crying because he wasn't being fed to cry. My sister was feeding him to cry. It's okay. It's okay. You can cry. You can cry. And so he did.
I know, but it's hard.
He didn't need to. He needed to toughen up.
I agree.
He needed to get back on the field, and he needed to score some goals and win that fucking comp.
Yeah.
Because I had some money. No.
I agree.
He needed this toughness. We can't have this society where we're pushing our kids to go, it's okay to cry. You can be soft. You don't have to play anymore. You don't feel like it. You don't have to. No. You have a sense of responsibility. You have a duty to other people than just yourself.
No, yeah.
It doesn't matter how you feel. Maybe as a man, toughen up. You can get through it. Get back out there.
Yeah, definitely. No, and I agree 100%. I think that there's a time and place for certain things, because in life, if you let your emotions gain control, you're not going to live a good life. Like, you have to show up no matter what, because you have a sense of responsibility. Like when I worked at Fitness First, there's really high staff turnover because it was a sales role. Yeah. And if a girls that I worked with at the time, they had some incident happen with their boyfriend, and they would just bring that into work, and you just can't, like, you have to have that emotional toughness to go, there's a time and place for certain things. And like, that's where it's like, men should cry and they should voice their things, but they're not going to be less of a man from doing so, but there's also a time and place.
I'm just nervous the conversation now is too much like pushing for that. Like, for example, the same thing I was talking about with the anxiety and depression, that we're encouraging it to be too okay. Like, you know what I mean? That you can cry whenever you want. No, sometimes you can't cry whenever you want. Sometimes you got to man up and you got to get the job done. You can't be in war and be crying. You can cry after war. Yeah. But in war, you got to do your job, because if you don't, you're going to die. Yeah. You're not going to but if we don't have this, if we push too much to say it's okay to cry, you can't be clear. You can't get the job done. And like, that's why the push for the conversation shouldn't be it's okay to cry. It should be it's okay to talk. It's okay to tell us how you're feeling. And if that includes crying, that's okay.
Yeah. But I think that it is. Like, I think that I don't know where you've seen all the sources of like the statement, it's okay to cry. It's just
the wording. It's like words hold power and value. Yeah. And this is what our society is forgetting. And this is what's so good about the old generation and the old ways. Every word mattered. Every way you said things mattered. It mattered. Nowadays, it doesn't matter. It's about what sounds good, not about what the wording is. Yeah. And that's where
I have I get what you're saying, because I've had girlfriends go out and they're like, I have so much anxiety right now. And it's like,
you can't throw that word around.
Like, almost like you can't just be like, you wouldn't say, oh, I've got schizophrenia right now.
Yes, exactly.
Like, it's just the weight of the word, because it's so much more spoken about. It's no longer like a taboo thing, and it's more normalized, and people are throwing it around too frequently.
Don't like that. I hold so much value to these words, and they're very important. That's why we've got to be very careful with what words we use. But our new generation, we're just not careful with our words, and we need to, like, I don't know, like, I'm not going to say we need to, but I want to be very conscious of that. And I'd hope more people would want to be more conscious of their wording. And I think that's more of a conversation our generation should be having, is this consciousness of what words we are using, because we can't be throwing around things that are very, very heavy words. We're already getting funny about, saying the word you're gay or, stop being a faggot. You know what I mean? Like, we're not okay with those things, and nor should we be. Like, it's not okay to say those things, and it can be very offensive. It's the same thing with depression, anxiety, telling a guy to cry. Like, we got to be very careful with these words, because they hold a lot of power and should only be used appropriately.
But that's why I love like having the type of conversations that we do and you sharing this right now, because you may have given a perspective to people that they haven't had before, and all of a sudden they may be more aware of the words that they use. And we also have to take responsibility. If you believe that and you hear a friend that says, I have so much anxiety right now, I'd be like, don't say that. Like, because that's how we will create change. And
also like no one's perfect as well. So you're going to mess up with the words sometimes. Like you're not going to be perfect. And it's okay like to voice how your thinking process is. Like a lot of like this discussion that's very controversial of what I'm saying, it's also a learning thing. Like just because I say it like this now doesn't mean this is forever. Like I can change, and I may change, and I probably will change the way I think as I grow and learn more about this conversation and learn more about these topics and things like that. But right now, I think it's still good to talk about how you are thinking, and because somebody can come in and educate you, or somebody can go, wow, I never looked at it like that. That's a really good way. You've really changed my perspective on it.
Yeah.
So,
but definitely, the wording of things is important because it can influence. But I have to stay true to like how I feel about the men's mental health thing, because I feel like
that's fine, and like I value that. Like I have no problem.
Yeah.
Like I'm not asking anybody to agree or think. I'm just voicing a thought, and I just want it to be thought about, and then if everybody can have their own decision. I'm not trying to change anyone's mind, but
Yeah, but I think all in all, it's a good thing. Like I think we've seen the impacts of also not talking, and like the experiences I've had shaped the reasons why I feel this way. And
it's so like everyone, you just can't ridicule people that have different opinions or thoughts, because these are the conversations we want to be having. We don't need to fight. We don't need to argue. We don't need to. It can be a healthy discussion, disagreement.
Yeah, of course.
And we need not to be afraid, and we need not to ridicule people that do think differently, even if it's a majority thought, or even if he's so wrong. Unless it's absolutely stupid, unless they're like a freaking like really stupid like thought. But you also have to understand why they're having that thought. So you have to look at it like maybe it's an experience in their life, or what they've seen or whatever. So there's always a value to it, but we just shouldn't be ridiculing anybody who has an opinion or a thought.
No, and if anything, you should
encourage you should encourage people to talk about these things.
Yeah, if someone says something like, I'm like that too. If there's something that I don't agree with in my moment, I'm not going to be like, you're wrong. Be like, why? Or challenge them, because at the same time,
listen. Don't just because you think you know, you don't need to yab on and just go no. Listen to what they say and think about why they think this.
Yeah.
And then put it in a way that they can look at it and go, and you can add value to their thought to help them steer them, rather than no, you're wrong. This is how it is. That's it.
Yeah, I agree.
So anyway, that was pretty deep. I think we'll end it here, to be honest. We've talked about a lot, and look, I hope all of you guys are not unsubscribing or not thinking about subscribing now because of the conversation. There's a lot more conversations we will have, Giuliana. You probably will come back on the podcast for more amazing discussions.
Sweet.
I don't know. Do you want people to find you on Instagram and stuff like that? Or you're not too bothered if they...
It's like 1, 2.
Yeah? What's your Instagram?
At Giuliana Bowers.
Okay. All right. I'll put it in the description, because the way she spells her name is a bit fucked. Like nobody really understands why. She spells it with a G.
No, I know. It's
Giuliana
so true.
G.
I know. Because it's Italian. It says Giuliana.
But she's Brazilian.
Yeah. No, it does cause me strife.
Yeah. Can imagine. All right. Well, thank you guys for staying tuned to the podcast, The Great Unloading. If you haven't done so already, thank you, Giuliana. If you haven't done so already, make sure you should subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out The Great Unloading clips as well, the way you get little clips of everything we've discussed. And don't forget to subscribe on Spotify or iTunes if you're just listening. And we'll see you next time.